A bit more than 4 weeks now until Election Day, and a lot is at stake. The candidates are hard at work on the campaign trail. The vice presidential candidate squared off last week. Who has the edge and why? Supporters from both sides are here this morning. Who comes out of retirement to take a full-time job of running a school? Bertie Simmons did it 15 years ago. Now, past the age of 80, has helped her school win $10 million. You'll meet Dr. Simmons this morning. And if you're 60 or older or know and care for someone who is, the truth about elder law, what it means to you, and how to get help when you need it. This morning on Houston Newsmakers.
From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
There is no love lost in this presidential campaign. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton holding a slim lead according to most national polls, with Donald Trump with about a 6-point lead here in the state of Texas, where the presumption is that he would win this state and the 38 electoral votes that would go with it. Here this morning to talk about the latest and what to expect, Houston City Councilman Dwight Borkins, District D, thank you for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And R.W. Bray, a Republican, a Harris County GOP precinct chair, also here this morning. Thank you for coming in. You've been watching what's been going on. We've got a debate here later on tonight as well. What do you sense are the reasons that your candidates are doing as well or maybe not so well? What do you, when you look at the landscape, political landscape?
Well, I think Hillary Clinton has a reputation, Cambrell, and an experience to show that she has been committed to children issues, to health care issues, way before becoming a political candidate. If you recall, when she graduated from Yale Law School, she joined the Children Defense Fund, working on children issues then. So as she campaigned and talked about issues that's pertinent to the average person, in particular people of color, it's resonating, and I think that's why she's coming across.
Mr. Bray, what do you tell people as when they come to you and they say, well, you're supporting Mr. Trump? What do you tell them as a reason why you believe that way and why your candidate's the best candidate for the job?
I think it's three factors involved here. Number one, I think we see that the African-American community can't be put into a box. You know, the false reality of thinking that if you're African-American, you're already going to vote for Hillary Clinton doesn't fare well when you consider the fact that a lot of African-Americans are concerned about getting away from the status quo, stepping outside of the box and doing something a bit different. He's right, Hillary Clinton has been in office for a fairly long time. However, what we see is that both African Americans and whites and Latinos are looking to shake things up a bit. And so when you take away the monolithic vote, all of a sudden there's an opportunity for African Americans or the minorities to advance. And I think that Donald Trump is an opportunity for us to step away from what has worked in the past and what's going to work for the future.
Well, I wasn't going to get to that just yet, but since you went there, let's go ahead and go there. Mr. Trump polling among African Americans, the number is really small, depending on which poll you look at. Right. And so some Breitbart has it much higher, but Breitbart is run by a guy who's actually the candidate, the chair of the campaign for Mr. Trump. So we have to kind of throw that one out. The numbers are really small. What is it that makes you one of the exceptions? And you articulated some of that just now. But, you know, he stood up in front of people. He said, what the hell do you have to lose? Right. Was that something that resonated with you?
Major insult to the African-American community. Let me just say this real quick. They talk about Trump and his relationships in the African-American community. It's amazing when he walks in black churches how nervous he gets. He's probably never been in one, let me be clear. But let me say this. My question is this. Mr. Trump, prior to running for office, in your top cabinet or your family members, do you have a person of color making decisions about how the Trump enterprise will operate? In your cabinet as a presidential candidate, do you have African Americans? So don't tell me what you plan to do, show me. I look at R.W. Bray, let me tell you, this is a bright young man. If Trump was smart, he would have him campaigning on a national level with him because he's a very bright man, but Trump won't do that.
I think African Americans are tired of being pandered to. And so when someone says, well, you know, African Americans are offended by this statement, the truth is that a lot of African Americans understand any statement an individual makes outside of the simple fact that we are talking about a presidential race. So if you deal with the facts about a presidential race when it comes to black people, we're not offended by the things that are so easily offended by most. What we want to see is school choice. We want to see is better relationships with police officers. What we want to see is a secure border. What we want to see is people who actually stand up for veterans' rights. And so if that's not happening, that is why you see in the polls in the battleground states like Ohio and Wyoming, me. If she's such a polished politician, she should be leading by 6, 7, 8. And what we've seen is that she only has a spread of +1 or +2.
Councilman, let me ask you this, because the state of Texas is a lot closer than it used to be.
Absolutely.
You know, once upon a time it's solid red, and now it's still red. But I hear some of your Democratic colleagues who are saying, hey, this may be a purple state here soon.
It's a great opportunity. Texas is no longer the way it was. I mean, you had the Bushes running when George W. was the governor, including everybody into the pool. What you have now is divisiveness. So Hillary is coming in with a stronger together country, and that's what we're about. What Trump is trying to do is divide this country, man. And
come on now, Hillary has divided this country by simply lying about emails. If we talk about division,
we'll give her that.
We want to make sure that we have someone we can trust. And the idea of Texas turning blue is a fairy tale. The things that have happened, it's pixie dust.
Okay,
brother. If Texas was turning red, we wouldn't have all the blue. We wouldn't have all these individuals coming into our state. Reason why is because we've actually adopted Republican ideologies that have been effective across the state.
Let me tell you, Rick Perry did a good job. I give it to him for turning and bringing the Tea Party in, but those days are about to leave. But let me say this about Trump. If he wants to be president, let's talk to the people who make $9 an hour, $12 an hour, who pay their taxes and show their taxes. He's running for president of the United States. Why is it he can't show his taxes?
This is amazing. This is a brother who owns his own business. He understands the importance of employment taxes, sales taxes, revenue taxes, all those things that he pays out of his own pocket.
And it hurts.
And it hurts. And so Donald Trump now is the individual who says, hey, my lawyers have told me not to submit it. And like any other person, I look for deductions. Business people are in the business of making money. And so the fact that someone is trying to save themselves from losing money is not an oddity.
You have another debate tonight. Of course, the vice presidential debates were this past week, and I know you watched them. I know many people looked at it and said that Mr. Kaine was too aggressive, Mr. Pence was cool under fire. Whatever it is, the top of the ticket is what's going to be the determining factor, and that's tonight. So what do your candidates have to do to appear and be presidential to be able to come out on top, not only for this debate and going forward to
I think what Hillary has to do is just continue to do what she's doing, articulate the issues, the vision for this country. I think her experience as Secretary of State is very clear. The day she becomes president, that night she will receive calls from presidents around the country, around the world, saying congratulations because of those relationships. I think if she continued to articulate the need to help the least and the last in this country, she would do well.
I'm glad he mentioned about answering calls, because she refused to answer the call when the guys under attack in Benghazi. So here you have an individual who is not paying attention to the people that need her help. I think what Trump needs to do is continue to make himself distance from what she is. I think indicative is how they acted last night. I mean, the other night. And so what you have is Hillary Clinton will always pick a bulldog. And so if God forbid something happens, we have a guy that is a bulldog, disrespectful as a president. That's not something we want. You look at Pence. Pence was poised together, and he was presidential.
Are you concerned about the poise and presidential demeanor of Mr. Trump, who in that first debate might not have qualified, according to what you just said, you know?
Look, in the first campaign of Barack Obama against Hillary Clinton, they dogged Obama.
Right.
Put him down first debate. Said he couldn't come back. So in the second debate, he came back. I think we'll see the same thing in Donald Trump.
Okay. All right.
Totally disagree. Totally. But I want to bring something up. He made a real good comment about Pence being the presidential candidate. Maybe that should have been the choice.
That's not what I said. I said he acted presidentially.
You know, we need to get a sponsor, and we'll do this as a whole show.
But something real serious. Foreign policy is a major issue with the presidential candidates. And Trump cannot read teleprompters and written scripts from someone and articulate the importance of what's going on in Syria and these other countries. You've got to have somebody who understands the seriousness of what's going on.
That's going to be the last word. Thank you for coming in, Council Member. We have to get you back to talk about District D issues coming up.
Absolutely.
And you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you both for coming. Hey, I know both of you, at some point in time, you had teachers who were involved in your life. But the chances are good that you didn't have anybody in your life like Dr. Simmons. She's a principal of Fur High School, and wait until you hear about the impact she's had on her students. And oh, by the way, she is in her 80s. That's next when Houston Newsmakers continues.